Three thoughts on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and how it explains dynamics in our world. Why are animals afraid of people? Why don't we live in a world where animals are not afraid of people? Well, the Bible says that in the beginning, animals were not afraid of people, and they only became afraid of people after people ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Again, I don't know how literal all these things are that the Bible speaks of, but you just have to think of the concept that they're teaching us, whether it was literal or not. So, we live in a world full of wonderful creatures other than ourselves, and it just so happens that they all have this innate built-in fear of human beings, most of them. It can be overcome, obviously, but the majority of them, it's built into them. Why? Why isn't it the opposite? Why aren't the animals just all lovey-dovey with us and that's normal? People say, oh, because we eat them, and well, yeah, sure. But think of it in the beginning. If there were human beings who had no knowledge of good and evil, and all they had was a knowledge of life, pure life, and all they did was live pure life, they would never hurt any animals. They would just, because they're all about life. The whole concept of hurting anybody or death would never enter their minds. No, I'm not preaching vegetarianism. No, I'm not any of those labels that half of you just came up with. I'm talking about an overall general concept that explains the dynamics of the world we live in. Keep your labels, please. So, human beings who are just created to live life in God, of course, the animals are going to love them and they're going to love the animals. It's just going to be a life situation for everybody. When human beings discover, oh, there's a split between good and evil, I can do good or I can do evil, naturally, the animals are going to freak out. The Bible says that the animals, the fear of human beings will now be on you. And it doesn't say whether God put that in them or it just happened. My opinion is, it just happened. Because you think of it. If you got a person who is just Christ alone, who is just purely into life, absolutely can be trusted. No wrong motives, no possibility of hurting anybody or anything. Always life, pure life and love, right? Animals are going to love them. There's going to be no need for fear at all. But you get somebody like you or me who's like, oh, there's good and there's evil. Oh, wow. And this whole split and all the crap that's come as a result. Animals are going to turn tail and run, boy. Don't blame them, quite frankly. That's why a lot of people in life, they like animals, but they don't like people. I know you've heard it. I've heard it from lots of people. I love animals, but I just can't stand people. I know we've all met people who say that. Why is that? Well, that's because animals don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Animals just live. They're just pure life, boy. Even like lions and tigers and bears that prey on other animals. They don't think about whether it's wrong or not. They're just alive. They have no clue why they're doing it. Or they have no clue that it's potentially morally wrong. They're just living. I understand animals are fun to be with because they're just living, boy. They're just alive. And people, well, they got all this knowledge of good and evil stuff they got to figure out. And it makes them really unpleasant at times. As much as I love them, myself included, I'm no stranger here. I always indict myself first. Anyways, that is the first dynamic. I think I'll call that good for the night. I'm going to go in and pet my cat now.